Greetings, this is Eugene the Philosopher, the greatest living philosopher after the unfortunate passing of Quentin Robert de Nameland, who has been the greatest living philosopher before me. I'm starting an alternative science coaching. That's right, you heard right. The secret word for tonight is alternative science coaching. And what do I mean by that? And why do I mean that? And what am I talking about in the first place? Okay, let's figure it out. So, large amounts of people, I believe, today have, well, not large in terms of percentage, maybe, of the population, but still large in absolute terms, okay? That's what I mean. Have some publicly neglected ideas in, roughly speaking, alternative science that deserve to be heard, I think, by the scientific community and general public, actually. But they are generally considered as madmen, almost, you know, like freaks and like crackpots and stuff. But I should reassure a lot of them, at least, that my stance on this is that they are this phrase of Niels Bohr that your theory is crazy, but it's not crazy enough to be true. So this is rather my stance to this, right? Towards this is that basically I can help with it. So I can help your theory to be better than it is at the moment when you are considered a madman and you are neglected and you are completely thrown away by whatever the power structures we observe in our society, whether it's academia or general public or media or whatever. Well, I mean, not necessarily completely, but to a degree. I can help you in advancement of your theory. So this is the basic idea of what is alternative science coaching. It's basically helping an alternative scientist to promote their theory. This is basically what we're talking about here. It requires a lot of work, obviously, what I propose. And it requires a lot of investment, in air quotes, and hence the price cannot be too low. So yes, I require money for that, for this coaching. But let me first tell you who I am and what I do, or rather what I propose to you in this regard. So I believe that my experience in this area is quite unique. In particular, I've spent at least 20 years of study myself, I'm from post-Soviet Union, so I've spent 11 years in school, 9 years of, it would be difficult to translate, basically 11 years of school, so that includes elementary, middle, and high school. Then I spent 5 years at the university. Then I spent 1 year at the master's program, and then 3 years at the PhD program. Okay. So that makes it 20, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, let me add it up again. Yeah, it makes it 20, exactly. So yeah, that's 20 years of study, plus that's 7 years working as a researcher. Firstly, it was 4 years, I think, or 4, I think, as a junior researcher, and then 3 years as a researcher at the Joint Institute for Power and Nuclear Research of the National Academy of Sciences of Belarus. Maybe you've heard we already have a nuclear plant working, even though it's working in a shitty manner, but it's a different story. I was a theoretical physicist there, by the way. Not at the plant, but at the institute. So 20 years of study, 7 years in academia, at the Institute, and 7 years I've been following the alternative scientists' ideas in the realm of electric universe, so-called, which is an alternative scientific paradigm which tries to explain all the phenomena in the universe, or at least a lot of phenomena in the universe, including cosmology and like large-scale astrophysics, with the help of electromagnetism, which is quite different from the so-called mainstream paradigm, which focuses only or mostly on gravity, right? So I have quite a bit of experience in that as well, and I've had quite an exposure to alternative ideas, and I've been a speaker at a lot of alternative conferences of this sort, most notably at the Thunderbolts Project conferences and Ben Davidson's Observing the Frontier conferences. Again, I can give you all the links if you wish. I've been a speaker, like, I don't even know how to call it, like spokesperson, I guess, in a lot of videos of Thunderbolts Project on this subject. I've been an author of my own videos on similar subjects, etc., etc. So I have, what I'm saying basically is that I have decent education, I guess. I have experience in academia and a similar amount of experience in alternative science, like basically, you know, crackpot, pseudoscience, etc., etc. Like if you watch my video on pseudoscience, you know that I don't really like this term. It's really garbage. There's only really bad science and good science, you know, and like it's shades of gray basically. And like if you look at, like, I don't know, dark matter, it's clearly bad science. You can easily call it pseudoscience, but it's ultimately name calling anyway, right? So it doesn't really matter. So yeah, and I have like roughly 16 years of philosophical experience, like meaning actively being interested in philosophy and like reading philosophy and like engaging in it with my own life, actually, right? Like since I was 16 years old, basically. So now I'm 32, so 16 years, roughly like that. And yeah, and I believe myself to be pretty open-minded. So yeah, if I didn't convince you from what I already said in this, then, well, if you watched my videos, again, if you didn't, maybe you should, or maybe you shouldn't, I don't know. It's up to you, but yeah, I'm pretty open-minded. Like, I don't mind, like, a crazy theory. In fact, maybe I'll give you a link to my own crazy theory. I just need it to be arranged in a good way so that it would look believable, you know, in a way. Because ultimately, even, like, accepted scientific theories are only good because they are framed in a believable manner. So, in a way, this is my message, right? Even though it might actually repulse some of you, but I don't know. Anyway, let's continue. So, regarding my experience, yeah, so I was a PhD student, and my PhD thesis is like 70% finished, but then a lot of circumstances have prevented me from getting a PhD, at least in my country, which is Belarus, which is, like, you may have heard about it, and this is part of why I didn't finish it, is that firstly my supervisor died to corona, and then I was fired from my institute because of my country being occupied by terrorists, basically. So I wouldn't even look for another supervisor because they all have to basically fire me because I'm not with the terrorists, but that's a long story. So yeah, I'll send you the ResearchGate and ORCID, like ORCID links to my profiles in the description if you wish to learn about my academic work. I wouldn't send you the link about my links about my like alternative science work, because it would be too much actually. Like there's too many of them. Yeah. So what do I propose is a coaching. Like I would like to help you, if you are an alternative scientist, to promote your theory, to firstly like help you develop your theory, and secondly promote it, basically. Well, that's all. So I'll attach the link in the description to this video to my Ko-fi page, which is like a sort of like a Patreon page, where you would see two options, two forms, if you wish, of coaching that I propose. So one of them available at the, maybe I'll actually attach the picture here in this video. So through commission on this website, ko-fi.com, again, see the links in the description. So through commission, you may order like a one-time evaluation of your theory, and like a, you know, like a stroboscope, just gives one pulse. So I'll give you an exhaustive advice, at least from what I see at that moment, what I can see from you. Again, look at the description of the commission. It says that I hope you provide as much info as you can to the commission, so that I can evaluate your theory as fully as possible. So I will give you advice on how you can improve your like observational part of your theory, like where can you look for additional data or like additional evidence for you in support of your theory. The second part is like how can you like internally reconfigure your theory for it to look more plausible, so for it to look more solid, if you know what I mean, like not being destroyed by any internal contradictions or something like that. So being more cohesive and coherent internally, right? And the third part is how to, at least from what I know by that moment of time, how to market it, in air quotes, more efficiently. There is, that is like, how to make it more accessible and applicable for a broader audience. Because, you know, okay, let me give you like an abstract example. Again, if you've watched my previous videos on philosophy of science, you would know this already, but oftentimes alternative scientists say, okay, mainstream science is so stupid, they're all pieces of garbage and stuff and stuff and stuff. And it doesn't help to promote your theory. Like, I don't know whether you recognize it or not, but if you walk into a place and say, you all are idiots and like follow me, that doesn't sound very appealing, you know. So I'll try to help you with this particular moment, which is a bane of all the well, not all, but many alternative scientists, let's say. And I think this is a very easy thing to like walk over. What is the proper word? I don't know. It's a very easy thing to surpass. That's the word. Okay. I'm really glad I found this word. But yeah. So this was one form of your interaction with me, possible interaction, I mean. Commission. So it's a one-time donation, and like I help you with your theory, again, one time. Even though it might take some time for me to like process all the info. Again, see all the descriptions on the Ko-fi website. And there is a second option, which is a more intense, more heavy sort of option, where we progressively work towards the goal. All right? And the goal might be something like a milestone, like publishing a paper, for example. Like I can walk you through all the stages from like initial idea, just a rough idea, just out of nowhere. I think this process is governed by this thing, and thus we can explain it. And then we start working, and like I ask you questions. We have like voice chats, video chats, like email exchanges, like maybe like 3 times a week or something like that. And we talk about this, we discuss this, like I bring you my experience, my expertise in physics and mathematics, and we try to work it out. And the end goal, sort of goal, you know, sort of like a visible milestone, if you know what I mean, is a published paper. And I can even help you with actually writing a paper and sending it to a journal, like a legit good scientific journal, even though I cannot guarantee it that they would publish it. Even more so, I can almost guarantee it that they wouldn't, because they don't publish alternative theories ever, anywhere at all, unless it's like a very vague type of alternative theory, like, oh, we think dark matter is not exions but exilons. Then they might publish it. But if you say that dark matter doesn't exist, period, they would never publish it, at least in this decade, I think. Maybe when James Webb would launch, they would, or at least like when the first results would come in. But even then, I think there would be a serious resistance. I think that James Webb telescope is going to explode on launch, by the way. And I've had this intuition like 7 years ago or something like that. If it wouldn't, I would be happy, but I don't know why. I just have this intuition. But I mean, it's gonna be launched like 2 days from now or something, so it's very easy to check. And like honestly, I would like to be wrong, and maybe I would be wrong. I mean, it's like 50-50, right? Anyway, digression, my bad. So yeah. So we'll work, roughly speaking, towards a milestone as like publishing a paper. Like by publishing, again, I don't mean that the journal would accept it. I just mean that by sending the paper to the journal, you enable yourself to publish it as a preprint, and it's almost as good to a scientific community. This is the mechanism I've used in my own work. And actually, I'll bring my own work as an example, and it's brought as an example on Ko-fi website. I'll bring, again, I'll give the link in the description to this video as well, to my paper. It was a completely insane idea, but I thought that I could connect the dots, you know? So the theory was that subsurface microorganisms, which live like deeply in Earth's crust, can cause earthquakes. So that was the theory. And look at the paper that I've written after like 2 or 3 months of intense work on it. So I would say it's quite impressive, actually. Yeah. Okay. Again, link in the description. So, yeah. So, as a conclusion, I would ask any of you who watches this video right now to send this video to your favorite alternative scientist. Like, if you know a guy with a good theory which is not recognized by anyone, well, maybe I can help them. And I genuinely believe that I can do so, at least to some degree. I don't know to which degree. Again, that depends on the theory, on like what they propose initially, right? It also somewhat depends on my own expertise. Like maybe it's still not enough. Like if they propose like something very narrow, like very deep in some very narrow area of knowledge, maybe I wouldn't be able to help. That's also possible. That's why I offer 100% refunds on my one-time evaluations. And also I warn you not to subscribe to my third tier, which offers more intense work. unless you message me and like we evaluate it like beforehand, right? Because I'm like, I cannot guarantee that this is viable. Like, yeah, maybe the theory is bad even in my opinion, which, yeah, like, well, I can obviously like offer you some sophistics, exactly. Like, I can offer you ways to trick the audience, which I can actually, but I wouldn't feel good doing that, you know. I need to be somewhat interested and somewhat fascinated by a theory, which I am by most of the alternative science theories. But again, yeah, there are some caveats here. Okay, so yeah, send this video to your favorite alternative scientists. Maybe I would be able to help them, and I would be happy to do so. So yeah, imagine like I'm not claiming any of the rights, right? So it's gonna be their work anyway. But I would be happy to help them to realize themselves in like a much better ways than they would otherwise without my help, something like that. So I believe that my proposal of this individual alternative science coaching is a unique service. Like, I've never heard anyone propose anything even closely, remotely close to that. So it's a unique service by a unique provider, a guy who has experience in both like official mainstream science and then unofficial non-mainstream science and philosophy, right? Who knows how science works, who knows how like pseudoscience works, and who actually has practical experience in all of these areas, right? So I don't know, maybe your success as my first client would actually serve as an example for others, and who knows like what this is gonna bring. I would hope so. Like, I sincerely wish to help you. So if you're up for it, then welcome. Let's talk. Until then, thank you for watching. The eons are closing.